What's going on, beautiful people? Kate and I have just cleaned out all of the aquariums because I'm going away for 2 weeks. 1 week is going to be in America, Aquashella, and then the other week we're going away on our first family holiday. So we wanted to get everything sorted, and I thought that was a really good...
It's not our first family holiday.
Abroad. Yeah. Oh, sorry, it's our first family holiday abroad. We've done lots of family holidays, but we've never gone on an aeroplane with the kids and everything, so it's going to be amazing. So yeah, you might hear Kate just cleaning around and stuff in the background, but I thought it was a good opportunity to show you everything. And why don't we start with the amazing 8-foot, just giving it a nice clean up. It's looking so good. I did trim back everything in this section for another build, but it's already growing back in. And when that hits the surface, which that side, it sort of kind of is already, when that's hit the surface, I'll trim those and I'll replant them over in this section because it's a little bit more sparse. There's quite a few stems there and there's quite a few stems there, but that middle section could do with another big sort of explosion of red, I think. Fish are all doing brilliantly. I've not lost a single fish in this tank, well, that I know of course. There's so many in here, so it's quite possible, but yeah, everything's just doing so well. The foreground plants like the crypt, look at that crypt. Look at the health on that, looks so good. And if you remember the S. repens, that sort of melted back and now it's all regrown again. Probably have to trim some of those soon as well and replant those. Here is the absolute beast angelfish, the biggest one. All happy with the keyholes. Yeah, there's not much to report because not a lot has changed since the last video I did on it. It's just running perfectly. I don't really do anything to the tank apart from clean the glass every now and again. Don't really do water changes either, just water top-ups, and it's worked really, really well. For me personally, in the way I set up tanks, too many water changes actually is not beneficial because, for instance, we've got all this bogwood and that in here, and that's all, you know, lowering the pH, which with the CO2 as well that we've got being pumped in, which I need to refresh actually, just keeps the plants growing really well. Plants love a slightly lower pH. If you can get it a little bit below 7, I've found that it works really well. Not to say that you can't have great success in a tank that's got above pH of 7, plenty of people have done it, but personally I've found that it's a lot harder to keep stems looking so fresh and good. Now, if you remember me saying the Echinodorus not doing well, and that's purely because of the bristlenose, they do eat it, but that's fine. Now that I know that, I just added in a few more as well. So look, there's a big one there that I took out of another tank when I've just refreshed it. Got another one there. There's probably about 7 bristlenose plecos in this tank, but I don't mind. You know, they don't chew on all the other plants. It's just that particular one. It's the softness of the Echinodorus leaf and the flatness of it. It just means that they can just go onto it and latch on, and they just keep munching until it sort of wilts away, but it's a good food source for them, so can't complain. Absolute favorite though is this Ludwigia up here. I love that plant, but you often find that as you go further down into the darker areas, the stem just loses all its leaves. There's nothing you can really do about that because the light can't get to it. It's just trying to reach and reach and reach. So when I trim it, I'll trim it like down lower, and all of it will like start from that trim point again, and it should be fine then. Replant that one somewhere else. And yeah, just keep that sort of high quality like plant tips, if you like, growing everywhere. I think it's a really nice tank. It's definitely my best tank for sure. Now that I've done one this size and it's worked really well, it's made me want to get another one, like a 10-foot or something like that. Now moving along next to the 8-foot tank is Chunks' new tank. This is set up like a few days ago, but he is absolutely loving it straight away. Look at that. So I wanted to go for a more sort of natural vibe with this one. So not an well, it's quite a complicated hardscape, but it's more supposed to be like it's just fallen in and all the pieces have got stuck with some rocks around them. And then we've got lots and lots of different Echinodorus in the tank as well. So I was going for that sort of South American vibe. We've got a big lily as well, Tiger Lotus. It looks absolutely fantastic, more of a focal point because without it, it was kind of like something was missing. And then at the back, we've got some really nice Vallisneria lupinova. And then we've got all the plants on the top as well. So yeah, I went for more of a natural vibe, and Chunk seems to be really liking it. There's 5 or 6 electric blue acara as well. There's one of them peeking over. They're not shy. I don't know what they're doing. They're probably looking for some food because we haven't fed them that long ago. And Chunks likes big bits of food, so he won't go around for scraps. He's just waiting there now for me to feed him something bigger. Yep, all the tetras doing great as well, the red-eye tetras and the lemon tetra. As this tank grows in, it's just going to get better and better for sure. We've got some carpet and plants in the foreground, as well as some smaller Echinodorus that will just get really vibrant, especially under the superficial lighting, which tends to pump out more of a sort of yellowy light, but that works really well with red plants. I mean, These are new leaves coming through on these Echinodorus already, and just look at that. So yeah, pretty simple skate, but I literally wanted something with a ton of swim room because Chunks has just tripled in size since I first, well, probably more than that, quadrupled in size since I first got him, and he needed the room, so you got to accommodate. That was always the plan though, with the build that we did before, was as they get older and bigger, you got to switch things up, and that's what we've done. I'm really pleased with the result. The tank next to it looks a bit of a mess. This was basically just a holding tank for all the Echinodorus. All the ones that are in that tank, they were in here, and I just set it up to grow them really well, and it has done that. You can literally see all the new and old leaves on everything. So yeah, that worked well. I'm going to do something else in this tank, something a little bit different, but for now, I'll just leave it as it is because the plants are growing so well, and I will be using them again for sure. And then next to that tank, we have got Timmy's tank, Timmy's bog. Look at that. Looks so cool. I like doing this. Whee! Where are you, Tim? Oh, there he is. He's being greedy because he's already been fed today. Oh, look at him. Any chance? Any chance of some more? Yeah, really simple setup. I went for like an open but darker area underneath. And then we've got this sort of fog system on the top, which just looks great. Then we've got all the plants that are just growing. They're in the water and they're in the gravel behind the retaining wall, but they're growing massive. This leaf is obviously new because it's so close to the light, you can't see it properly, but it's proper bright green. I might actually lift that. Let's lift that above the light. And then that might put a little bit more light into the aquarium. So yeah, we've got barbs in here. We have got Odessa barbs. Look, there's 4 males and 2 females. They breed in it. What are you doing to me? He's sort of balanced on the side. He's looking so healthy. This is the best I've ever seen him look. I think it's the perfect setup for him. He doesn't climb. He doesn't even go around the back area, although he can. He just seems to like the water. Timmy's a musk turtle, and they spend like 95% of their time in the water. He does come out the top. There's that little perch area there. But yeah, really healthy and loving life. He's like 4 or 5 years old now. I've had him for a long time. And he is a fan favourite, but also my wife's favourite. So next to Timmy, we've got the fish wall. This is just like a holding place for different fish and that. Kate's just sorting out some of the plant holding tanks at the bottom. We've got shrimp all along here. Oh, and one fighter. He's absolutely gorgeous, doing really well. Top row up here, we have got just some real proper nano fish. We've got some dwarf danios sort of at the back there. And then we've got some lampies as well. So they'll be used in like tiny setups. And this top row over this side is where I've got some fish that are being held at the moment because they're going to be going in my triple setup. So we've got rosy barbs here, big rosy barbs as well. We've got males and females. We've got 3 gorgeous pearl gouramis in here. So there's those 2. And then there's this one down here as well. But they got great colours on them. I mean, look at the redness or sort of orangeness of this one here. Look at that. In the tank next to them, we've got some Rasboras. They're red-tailed Rasboras. And again, I saw them in the shop. I've not had them before, and I thought, well, I've got to have them. At some point, I'll do a setup, and I might do something that's like real natural for them. I mean, it's pretty natural what they're in now, but this is just a holding tank. It's not a scape or anything. And then in this one, we've got some dwarf gouramis. We've got a male and a female. They get along really well, and they're going to be going in one of the triple tanks as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing them in something a little bit bigger. Even though they're really happy in here, they could stay in here, but you know, I've made these feature tanks, and I feel like they're going to absolutely love that as well. And then moving on to the middle section from the fish wall, here we have the puffer tank, which is very thick with vegetation, but they seem to like that a lot more. Look at their full bellies. They've just had a nice big feed. They're still doing really, look at this one, big old belly. You got a big amount of food, didn't you? Some of them are bigger than others. I'd say this one down here is like the most sort of dominant and biggest of them all. And in fact, doesn't usually come out in the foreground quite as much as this. He usually has a little section in the back there where he sort of hovers around, but yeah, maybe they want more food. They definitely can't have more food. I mean, look at his belly. It's just completely full. Yeah, we've been feeding them mealworms, bloodworms. They have a bit of pellet as well. They kind of like to have a go on a bit of everything. And above the tank, we've got all the pothos and everything like that. And then we've also got this amazing peace lily that's in the other tank, but it sort of just ties it all together really well. And then next to them, we've got my Malawi cichlids. It's a little bit dusted up because I put a load of plants in here that were in another setup just for holding. Oh, did you see the male then? I'll wait till the male comes out. So So some of them are still sort of babies, but they're getting their colours in. But so the ones at the back there, that is how they look. They're females, so they sort of have more of a drab colour. But hopefully, if I do a bit of a water flick, there we go, there's the male, being cautious. What's he being so cautious for? Maybe there's some young around there or something like that he's looking out for. I don't know. I'd like to get him out though. Let's put a little bit of food in, see if that works. They've been fed already, so I'll just do a little bit. There he is, he's just pointing his head round. Oh, I want you to see his colours, they're amazing. Come on, there he is. Here he comes. Look at, oh, he's so fast. He's the absolute dominant one in the tank, you see, so wherever he goes, everyone else clears off. But yeah, I was expecting to get a few more of the males, but I don't feed the sort of hormone food, it's just a normal food. And so one of them has got to be the dominant, and that actually is the one. A nice simple scape with this one, just a couple of these sort of pendant lights. I need to put a surface skimmer on, mind you, because we're getting quite a little bit of build-up of oils on the top. But that's because the tank is fed very heavily. But it works so well because, look, you can see it. You don't get algae in it and it's not fully planted. So yeah, just a couple little pendant lights like that, and low sort of wattage. I actually turn them down to like 30% of what they're capable of. And it adds more of a mood to the tank, a little bit more realism. And it stops me having to clean it at all. I don't do anything to the tank. So that's my ideal fish keeping. And then moving around from them, we have got here, this is my Shell Dwellers tank. And it's had some changes recently. Not aesthetically, it's pretty much the same apart from the fact that all the plants are growing beautifully out the top. But if we come down, I'm not sure I'm gonna see it now, but so these fish in the front have always had their homes as they are. They've scaped the whole tank as to how they want it. But every now and again, I do see from the rock work at the back, so you can see that one just sort of poking his head over the top, or her head. Well, that section there, every now and again, we see some small ones coming out. Not full-on babies, but like much smaller than the group that I first put in. So they're definitely breeding in here. It's just that they seem to like the cover of the rock and all the little nooks and crannies. There's a whole sort of labyrinth behind there. And I'd like to see them actually, see if I can get them in some B-roll. Oh, look, there's one now. There's one now. Did you see that? That tiny, tiny, tiny one there. Well, that is way smaller than anything I put in this tank. So it has to have been born in here and grown out, because he's look at the size difference. I know it's further back, but still way smaller than anything that was put in this tank. So they're definitely breeding, which is awesome. I was hoping to see some little babies obviously coming in and out of the shells in the front, and maybe we will at some point, because if they're breeding at the back, they can breed anywhere. Yeah, this isn't one of those tanks where you come in every day and there's something different. It's more like a reef tank in a way. You just got to sort of just appreciate it for what it is, and then every now and again you can get some nice surprises. And then next to that tank is the Superfish tank that we set up here. So this is the Superfish Quadro, and it's very, very budget friendly. But I set it up to show that you can do a full planted tank without CO2 and everything like that. Just a little light it's in here, look, not really a lot going on there. But as you can see, look at the growth of everything. We've got a full Monte Carlo carpet going all the way. We've got shrimp that are breeding. We've got these awesome neon green Respora in here. There are some small cories in there as well, but they tend to stay at the back unless they're being fed. And even then you only see them for a second. But yeah, it needs a little bit of a trim up, but I was quite liking the way that it sort of made this open section here, and that's where the fish tend to like to swim as well. But yeah, nice and simple, nice and affordable, but works really well. So next to those, we have got the triple tanks. So each tank is just under 3 foot. I've just finished doing them all. So they are done, they are ready for fish. We've got all these plants in the top, all coming out the top as well. The idea was it was supposed to be like a cohesive piece all together, with different colours at each end, sort of like merging them in. There's a slight haze going on, a little bit of a bacteria bloom, but that's to be expected in the new setup because we haven't got a big bioload. The bacteria is sort of growing and then dying off because there isn't the waste for them, because I'm not feeding loads and there isn't a ton of fish, but it's coming along so well. It's grown in really, really thick. I added a ton of stems. A lot of these stems here were from the 8 foot. They're all reaching the surface, so what I'll do to those soon is I'll just trim them all off down low and replant them, and then we'll get triple the amount, quadruple the amount actually, and then that just adds to that density, and if you keep that trim going, you can get this really nice sort of thick bush effect. Now the fish going in here are the ones that are actually up on the fish wall up there, maybe some additional ones as well, I'm not entirely sure yet. After I come back, I will decide, but by that time, This should all be perfect, crystal clear, so you lose a little bit of that haze. It's not much, but it is there. There was an algae bloom as well, because I, again, went away for another week not long ago, and I come back and there was quite a big diatom outbreak and everything. So we add in the Autosynclus. They're doing a great job, adding some glutaraldehyde as well to help with some thread algae, and now there's no algae on anything. So that worked a treat. It's just a case now of waiting until this all clears up and then I can add in the fish. I'd like to go for something completely different in each one, because what's the point in having the separate tanks if you're not going to do that? That was kind of like the idea anyway, but yeah, it's growing really well. Again, another set of tanks now that I've got where I can take trim-ins and use them in other setups. And what's quite nice is these lilies down here, these are rare ones that were given to me by Ty Streetman. They're a carpeting lily. Now the original leaves you can see are dying off, but there's all the brand new ones now growing in, which is really good to see, because I didn't think they were going to take. Once you get that going, it should take off. It's going to take a little bit of time to cover everywhere, but how good will that look with like those lily leaves just sort of covering the surface, and then I can take them off and propagate them even more. So at the top we've got peace lilies, we've also got variegated pothos and normal pothos. That's just going to take over, it's going to go everywhere. I'm a massive fan nowadays of having plants at the top of your tank, because it just adds a whole nother dimension to it, doesn't it? Without that greenery above there, it's just 3 tanks, but with it coming out the top, it kind of just makes it feel like the whole thing is bigger as a display. Love it. And then opposite those, we've got the rainbow fish tank here. Set this up a couple of months ago, something like that. It is growing absolutely insane. So yeah, all of the best rainbow fish are doing really well. Look at that Bosemani right there. The Madagascan, he's always out on his own little area. None of the rest go near. And then there's a subdominant Bosemani down here as well. I have lost a couple in the last few months or so. I'm not sure why. It could have been old age or something like that. I've had these fish a long time now, but they seem to be a lot happier in this setup than they have been in the other ones. Previously, it was very, very dense. There wasn't a lot of swim room, but although this one looks really dense, they can actually swim all in between the SAGs at the background. They can go all the way around the back very easily, but then you've still got that nice clean foreground. Most of my tanks, I don't have that much sand like this. It's a small amount, just a dusting. I wanted to do that a little bit different in this one. The cories can enjoy the sand, which they do. We've got skunks, we've got Venezuelan. We've also got some bristle nose in here. There's one at the back, keeping everything clean. But yeah, another more sort of natural design I was going for. I suppose it's quite nature aquarium-y, but it works really well. Fish seem happy, they can get all their food. I have to be careful though, because look at the SAG, it's trying to creep forward into this decorative area. Obviously all the nutrients are at the back, but what it does is just sends out runner after runner after runner. And if that's still attached to the back area, it's still getting a nutrient supply. So even though this is just sand, it can still grow. So I'll have to get in there soon and stop that, because it will just take over. And it's starting to do it everywhere. Like you can see all these bits where it's creeping forwards. That's just where it's coming from, that back mass, which I like, but I do want to keep that clean air in the front, because I just think it's working really well with this tank. And then next to that tank here is my Endler tank. Now, it is an absolute mass of plants, and I wanted to clear it off before this video, and I thought, you know what, just leave it, because if we come closer, there are hundreds and hundreds of babies everywhere. Now, this is the first time I've seen so many, and I think it's because they've got all that hiding area, the places they can take cover in, that we're getting a really good survival rate. I can't see any of the adults at the moment. Oh yeah, there's a couple up here. There we go, some really nice males in there. It's definitely overgrown. I'll tell you what, why don't I just trim off this little front bit here, just so we can see a little bit of light in there, see some of the plants and that. And yeah, I'll do that quick. There we go, look. I've just trimmed a little sort of corridor at the front and pushed the plants back a little bit. So there's still tons for them to go in and out of, but you can see now, there is so many babies everywhere. Just a second ago, all the adults come to the front when I was doing it because they thought it was feeding time, but they've already been fed today. But one thing I want to show you, look down here. Look at this crypt. This is Crypt Flamingo, and I'm actually surprised it's still got any colour, considering the fact that the light couldn't get down there. If you have a look at this Ludwigia here, it's struggling a little bit, but it should do a lot better now. Green plants seem to do absolutely fine, even if the light is massively reduced. Like, look at the Rotala, all the Anubias. Anubias is great in low light anyway, but even the Ericolon Vietnam down here, looking vibrant and awesome. The Bulbitis in here looks magical as well. But yeah, another one that I went for a more sort of natural setup. I was trying to get all the breeding to happen, and that is exactly what's going on now. It's taken a while actually. Well, it could have been happening before, I just couldn't really see it because maybe the babies are getting picked off, but They can dart in and out now, and hopefully we get more survival rates because I want there to be so many of them in here. Okay, now moving across to the other side of the studio. This tank here, I love this tank. So this is the Red Devil Angelfish tank. Another natural one. I'm loving natural style tanks nowadays. I just think it looks way better. You get better behavior from the fish. I mean, look at the colors on them. They look fantastic. Oh, flash plec. Flash plec. I think they call them that because you don't see them very often, and when you do, it's like a flash. And we've got some nice cories as well in here. We've got a bristle nose. That looks like a male there. Yeah, male bristle nose chewing on a algae wafer. But look at the size of this tiger lotus in here. I quite regularly let this tank completely fill up at the top here with all the floating plants, and then I take them to Maidenhead Aquatics Taunton and I swap them for like fish or some substrate or something like that. So they've quite often, if you do want to get hold of some of my red root floaters, there's bags up there that you can buy. They charge about $5 and you get a good clump, and they've been growing really well. Look at this. Look at the pinky red on that. It's just, yeah, so brilliant. I mean, the Jahiros lighting in here really does help. And then above the tank, we've got these huge Monstera all growing out of the top. So they are all going into the water all the way along. So they pull nutrients out the water, which is what allows them to grow so beautifully. And the angels are growing really well. This one in particular, there's always one that seems to grow immense, but that one's growing at like twice the rate of the others. There is a runt that's right at the back there, a little one. He or she stays small. The rest of them just growing at a really nice rate. This one here looking good. Love the colours on them. Yeah, it's a cool setup. It's just got loads and loads of wood just sort of piled in there. And the Tiger Lotus is taken over, if I'm honest, but I do like it. I'm not going to trim that. It's too nice to trim that back. And then next to that one, we've got the Swordtail and Molly tank. Recently gave it another trim up and plugged some areas that were a little bit barren of the pearlweed. Like this bit here, you can see it's growing up even faster. I don't know, I think it's because I trimmed it and planted it, so the shoots at the top were already ready to grow, whereas these ones here, they had to sort of regrow new shoots, if you like. So that's going a little bit quicker than the rest. It might be worth just whipping all these extra little tool bits off in a minute, but fantastic tank. Again, I don't do anything to this. The Amano shrimp at the back there seem to really help in keeping down the algae that's on the rocks, because look at that. Quite often with rocks with high lighting and no CO2, remember, you get quite a green sort of dusting on all the rocks, but there's nothing on any of it. I think that's more to do with the fact that the tank is so balanced. I've not used CO2 on it after the first month. I just stopped because it was just growing too fast. And even now without CO2, it grows too fast. I'm having to hack it back now. Once a month, I'd say it gives it a proper hack back. I could probably do with doing it every 2 weeks though, to stay really on top of it, which I'm going to do in future. As soon as I come back from the holiday, this will be the first one that will need attention for sure. We've still got loads of new babies. Look, Swordtail, look at that little one in the middle there. The Swordtail's continuously breeding. I haven't seen some new baby mollies in a while, but that was always the case, because I'm pretty sure that the aggressiveness of the Swordtails, they pick off the black babies very fast. Like that male Swordtail there, he's going to get anything, isn't he? And look, you can quite often see little babies all amongst all of the pearlweed as well. So I think they're a little bit more intelligent, the black ones. They don't stay out in the open. They just, even like this one here, look right by the rock. They just stay under cover until they're big enough, and they only come out once they are. Oh, I feel bad now. They think they're being fed, but they've already been fed, greedy little pigs. Now moving over to this side. So this is like just a sort of very natural, kind of arty looking scape, I would say. It's for the green neons down the bottom there. See if I can get them to come up. There we go. Look at that. They're quite shy unless they think there's food in the water, but as soon as they do, they're all out and about. This one has been set up for a long time, and I'm probably going to do something else soon, but it's kind of mimicking their natural environment. They live in sort of murkier waters. They group together like this for safety and for breeding and that sort of thing. Very simple. It's a cube. We've got a nice sort of hang on the back filter, one of those pendant lights again. We've got some Pothos in the water as well coming out the top. That was really long, but I used it in another scape. It was going all the way over there, so I trimmed that and used that for Chunks' scape, I think. But yeah, it's a simple design, but it's an easy one. Again, all I do is feed the fish here. They seem really happy. I've had them for a long time now, actually. I got them for a scape a long time ago that I never saw them in. It was like a fully planted setup, and they just hid the whole time. But I see them a lot more in this one. Obviously not when I come up to the tank with a camera, like right in their face, but if I'm sat over at my desk area over there, look across, and quite often see them swimming around. Next to them, I've got an empty one, and then I have got the saltwater. So yeah, this is my first and only saltwater tank. It's home to a pair of clownfish, very expensive ones, snowflakes, I might add. Very simple design. I didn't go for anything complex because I just want to keep it going and keep everything alive, which is doing good. Big old mushroom there. Then we've got a Duncan. They're closed up a little bit at the moment because I just scraped the glass and stirred up the sand. And I think they thought it was food, or maybe there was some food in the, well, there would be, wouldn't they? The algae that scraped off the glasses in the water column, so they've closed up a little bit. This macro algae you can see here was absolutely tiny when I first got it, and now it's huge, taking over. If you remember, there was an anemone in here, and you can't see it at the moment because it's split into two. So there is one of the pieces. Since it's split, they stay quite small, and they seem to stay compact quite a bit at the moment. I guess that's because there's like where the split is, the flesh is open. I guess people who know about salt water will know if that's like common, but I've not seen them out and massive like they were when they were one. Oh yeah, there you go. Look, there's one at the top there, and there's that one there. Every day when I come in, they're in like a different position, so I guess they're still trying to find what they think is optimal. Like I say, the water's a little bit misted just because I stirred up all that sand. Had like a little bit of a compacted algae on the surface, so I just stirred it up. But yeah, it's been fun. I like having it right next to my desk, so I'm sat down at my desk now, and I can see the clowns all the time. The Pulsing Xenia here was way smaller than that. It's like doubled in size now. I think that looks great. Lots of people said, don't put that in your tank, it'll take over, but I literally don't mind. If that wants to do even more, it can. I've got down the bottom here some more macro algae. This is sort of the only place that one survived. So I'm hoping it continues to spread over time because I really like that greenness of it. I think that'll look cool if there's more of that in the aquarium. The zoas didn't really do quite as well as I would have hoped. I think it's because the lighting in here isn't massively strong. That is at full power, and yeah, they're not thriving, they're not dying either. I've got some more over this side, which again, they look like they're reaching. It's almost like I need to place them higher. And the thing is, if I place them higher, that's where the anemone are, and they're gonna like crawl all over it, aren't they? So the anemone doesn't seem to come, or anemones I should say now, doesn't seem to come downwards. It always stays as top part of the rock. So I just sort of wanted to keep them separate because I really like the anemones. So they're like number one for me. I want them to do really well and get nice and big again. But yeah, it's been rather simple. I haven't really done a lot to it apart from a glass scrape every now and again, checking the salinity, making sure that's correct. I've had to adjust it a couple of times. But that's been it really. It's just, yeah, quite a nice little thing to just have that you don't have to do a lot to. I'd say I have to do more to a planted tank than this one. I'm sure that's not the case if you go full on coral mode, but because we've only got a couple of simple corals, some big old macroalgae, yeah, it works perfectly for what I'm after. So next to that tank is my editing area where I'm sat quite a lot of the time. And then we've got a little shrine to API. It's all my API and aquarium products. This is where I keep them now. Kate got it all nicely organised for me, so I'm not like losing bottles everywhere. And then back this way is the Archerfish tank, which is doing very well. There's a slight sort of staghorn algae going on at the moment, but that's easily fixed. Get some glutaraldehyde in there, that'll clear that up. It won't come back for a long time. The archers, because I'm now pointing a big round thing at them, are very aware that I'm here, and they're all just huddled at the back. I should chuck a little bit of food in for them. They'll come forward a bit more. There we go. Very cool fish. We've got 4 of them. I'm only seeing 3. Oh, there we go. There's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I also stick bloodworms and things to the top here, and they spit it off, but they've actually been fed already today. Every fish has been fed already today, so it's later on in the afternoon. We've got all the danios, we've got the loaches in here, we've got the perch. There's one of them. Here he comes. So the perch get quite cool because their colours can change. They go muted, and then when they come out in the open like this, look, they flare the sides, and those oranges really show. But if they go back into the dark bits, they go really dark again. Look at that, like the colours have gone. I mean, I think it's because it's tucked his fins in, but they do mute down as well. The loaches are pretty cool. They keep the bottom all stirred up. The danios are hiding. That's probably because we fed them. After they've got their food, they sort of don't come out again. There's a specific time of the day they come out, and that's about it. On the top, we've got more plants all growing out. Again, it just makes the whole thing just look way more sort of impressive by having that top section and the bottom section. Next to the Archerfish tank is the Mbuna cichlid tank, which It's looking really good, actually. I mean, I had a lot of die-off from the Anubias for a while, and you can see some of it's been chomped on. But for some reason, it's stopped, and all the other leaves you can see now are relatively new. There's a brand new one as well, and it's all sort of grown back nicely, so that's good. I do want to switch this tank up. I keep saying that, but I actually really do want to. I want to do something with way more rock work now because the fish are bigger. They're way bigger than when I first got them, at least double the size. And I feel like they're running out of some of their territories. I mean, they've got a lot. Like, they can go inside of everything here, look, all deep down in those rock crevices. This is actually more like a pyramid here, so they can go underneath there. There's gaps down the bottom, but I feel like they're going to need way, way more now. They're getting bigger. We've not had aggression, but I don't want that to sort of start. So I'm going to do something different soon and just go full on rock mode, like a mountain coming out the top. I'll keep the substrate system because that's worked really well. It's just sand. And then there's a power head that just sort of blows stuff around and keeps it looking clean. There's a little bit of mold on some of the surface, but there was way more than that before I added the power head in. So it's working really well. The colours are great on them, aren't they? I think if I was going to have a home aquarium, it would definitely be a Mbuna cichlid one. The kids love them as well because it looks like Skittles in a tank, doesn't it? Then next to them in the sort of seating area, we've got this one here from Superfish. It's another Quadro. It's the bigger one. Set this up a long time ago, let it go, and haven't touched it ever since. And you can see it just looks great. We've got breeding shrimp going on, like there's a new sort of baby. These are the smallest of the swordtails that I originally had. They were tiny little babies when I put them in there, so they're all growing up in here nice and safely. At some point I'll sort of transfer them out, but no real need at the moment. Oh, there's a lotus growing in there. I didn't even know that. It sprouted up quite quickly. I didn't put that there, so that must have been something that just got attached to that plant when it was put in. But yeah, that's a nice little surprise. We've got some Booses, we've got some Anubias, the Bolbitis, which is doing really well. For some reason for me, without CO2, Bolbitis is just insane. It grows great. I'm not sure why, because I thought it required a bit more harder water, but I don't have that. But yeah, I'm not complaining. A nice simple setup. You can view it from there. You can view it from here. You can view it all the way around if you want to as well. So yeah, cool tank. And then next to all of that over on this side, we've got a couple more tanks. So this is my rice fish tank, and it's also holding a nice piece of wood that's got some ferns and that on. I'm just keeping these here for the minute because I'm making a little patio pond in my garden, and I want these guys to go in there. They can go in cooler water. It's summertime now anyway, so we'll be all good until like winter hits, then I can transfer them. But we've got some really nice rice fish in here. We've got some koi style ones. So that one there, look, it's got like the orange, I can't pick it up, but yeah, it's got like oranges on them. And they've got like different sort of colorations and that. Some have got more blues, and we've obviously got the oranges as well. So really cool fish. They're kind of like mini koi anyway. So if we put them in a mini pond, I think that'll suit it really well. And then moving up here, we've got the red tank. Recently harvested all of it, but you can see now, look, all the shoots are regrowing. There are so many shrimp in here. It's like, oh my goodness, that's a baby. That is a baby swordtail. Yes, they're breeding. Oh, there's another one at the back. They're slightly older. Oh, I'm not moving them. I was going to be moving them, but definitely not moving them now because we've got 4 males and 2 females in here, and there's enough cover that the females are obviously okay. But brilliant! I've bred swordtails. Oh, sorry, I keep saying swordtails. They're not swordtails. They're silver-tipped tetras. They're very, very cool fish. Some of my favourite tetras actually because they behave in such a cool sort of schooling way, and it's so cool now to know that I've got babies in there. And if there's a couple surviving like that, there's definitely going to be more that I haven't seen. Obviously, when this was chock-a-block full, and it was, the reds were all the way up to the surface, really. I could barely see the silver-tipped tetras anyway, so now that I've trimmed it all back, I can see the babies. That's awesome news. And then next to that one, we've got our final tank. This is a guppy tank. We've got a couple of plants sat in there as well that I'm going to be using in another setup. All of the original guppies I got died off, and only one male and female remained. It was this male here, and the female, I can't see at the moment, might be on the back, might be that one there. But all the rest you see are babies from those two. And we've got some really cool colors. Like, look at this fiery tail ones that we've got here. Well, that's completely different to the mosaic of the original male, but I'm not complaining. I think they're really cool. I don't really do anything to this tank. It's sort of slightly overgrown with the pearlweed, but it's all healthy and it's got babies breeding, and I don't really want to disturb it, so that's why I've just left it. Survival rates seem to be really, really good. I mean, it's guppies, they're not exactly hard. I do find enders slightly more difficult to get like a bigger success rate. Babies tend to get eaten a little bit more by the parents, but guppies seems to be different. Like, pretty much all of them survive. Okay, I hope you guys have enjoyed that, a nice overview of every single tank. I sort of went through quite quickly because there's a lot to get through, but it's still a long video. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed it, and see you in the future for future builds, fish and stuff.